Hi everyone, it's John. Welcome back to my channel. It is September 3rd, 2022, and last weekend I went to a library book sale. I got 8 or 9 books, and I just wanted to show you those since it's been a while since I've been to one, and I need to spend the next few videos, since I've been away for a while, catching up on things that I have just picked up recently because I'm way behind. So this will be one more video towards that. They have this thing at one of the local libraries where you give them $10, they give you one of those old-fashioned paper brown bags, and anything you can fit in it is yours for $10. So I managed to fill about 80% of the bag, and then I went with my mother, and she found 4 or 5 things on her own, and we filled every single square inch of that thing, laid them on their sides, the whole 9 yards. And I just wanted to show you what we got. I found a couple of really interesting things. One of the first is this. I'm sort of embarrassed to admit that what I know about ancient Egypt is probably the equivalent of what a lot of 8th graders know about ancient Egypt. Just sort of like the very textbook, superficial, the basic gods and, the most important pharaohs. And then that's really sad. So maybe as a sort of like a point of entry to learning a little bit more, I figured, maybe a couple of these big tabletop books, coffee table books, might be great. And there's really no better source for those than Taschen, who, if you're not familiar with the name, is a great art publisher. They do art history, architecture, graphic design, pretty much anything that's image-based, they're really good at. And it just has wonderful, let me find you some, most of which is just, colored pictures. So this has, it sort of breaks it down chronologically, I think. Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, and just sort of, and there's a lot of, thankfully, explanatory text to go along with the photos. So that's the first thing. If you ever see one of these Taschen books, I certainly recommend getting it. And if you're at all interested in, like I said, any of the subjects that I mentioned, this, if you have room and sufficient interest, should be part of your permanent library, because they make really good quality books. And one more about ancient Egypt, I don't know, another tabletop book, nonetheless. This is The Legacy of Ancient Egypt by Charles Freeman. And sort of along the same lines, I just can't really resist this stuff. Sometimes I don't end up reading them, and I don't really know if they're meant to be read cover to cover, but I have every intention when I buy them to read them cover to cover. But just sort of some examples. Okay, no more tabletop books, I promise. I found this. I have this in my mind, this long-standing project. I bought Robert Alter's translation of the what Christians call the Old Testament last year on Hamilton Books. And I got it, and it's that 3,500 page volume one that comes in its own, case. And I told myself that I wanted to read it this year, and that didn't happen. but I do want to read it very, very soon because there's a lot of commentary in there, and it's like I said, a new translation. And I think something to supplement that would be a great sort of rabbinical overview, summary of what a rabbi has to say about the Old Testament. And this is Rabbi Joseph Telushkin's Biblical Literacy, the Most Important People, Events, and Ideas of the Hebrew Bible. So what I can do, theoretically, once I start at least, is to read a book, read Samuel, read, Exodus or Deuteronomy or whatever, and then read the corresponding chapter in this book. There is one chapter for every canonical book in the Old Testament for Jews, which I think pretty much matches up well with the ones Christians accept. I don't know. There might be one or two books of difference. I should know that better. I know that there's some canonical infighting among Protestants about books in the New Testament, but that's the plan for this, to read it as I go along and read the Robert Alter translation. I think that would be a nice supplement just to make sure I'm picking up on all the major themes and also getting commentary from someone else. Next is a book, sort of a classic of nature writing, but I've never read it. It's A Santa County Almanac by Aldo Leopold. And sketches here and there. I don't know if the sketches here and there is actually the subtitle for the... Yeah, I think it might be a subtitle for the actual book. But this is just a bunch of really, really beautiful nature writing. So I don't read a lot of it, but I certainly know Aldo Leopold's name, and I know the name Santa County Almanac. So I picked this up. Next up is a biography. This is Anne Somerset's biography of Elizabeth I. I didn't, foolishly maybe, look at any of the ratings on Goodreads like I usually do when I'm thumbing through a book sale. I just sort of picked up whatever looked good. And then, complete happenstance, I brought them home and out of curiosity the next day looked them up on Goodreads. And it looks like I made some pretty good choices. It was pure accident, but this one seems to be pretty highly thought of. If anyone knows anything about it or any of the books that I talk about in this video, let me know. The Friends of the Library sale up there is what the price was before the bag sale. So if you would have, they culled out the Friends of the Library annex to provide some extra books. So if you would have bought this the day before the sale, you would have paid $3 for this book alone. And of course I got everything here for $10. Plus my mother's. I've seen this a couple of places on YouTube. This is A Voyage Long and Strange, Rediscovering the New World by Tony Horvitz, who passed away a few years ago, I believe. He was a journalist. And this is a retelling, a re-understanding of what he has to say about Europeans discovering the quote-unquote New World. Here's another one I at the bookstore for a long time, and I knew that they would eventually pull this because it's a bit maybe on the scholarly side for the store. So I knew I would see it at the book sale. So I just left it there to sit, and lo and behold, it showed up. This is Russia's Failed Revolutions, from the Decembrists to the Dissidents, by Adam B. Ulam. And Adam B. Ulam was at Harvard. He was the Gurney Professor of History and Political Science and director of the Russian Research Center at Harvard for a while. The Decembrists, of course, refer to a political putsch that happened in Russia in December of 1825. And the Dissidents refers to, this is an older book, it's almost 40 years old. The Dissidents refers to the sort of post-Stalin 70s, 80s liberal reformers that were against hardline communism, and that eventually, like the recently late Gorbachev, who ended up sort of thawing the system and bringing in glasnost and perestroika and all of that good stuff. I think, yes, one more book after this. It's another biography, and it is a biography of another British monarch. This is Queen Victoria, from her birth to the death of the Prince Consort, who is, of course, Prince Albert. I don't know if this is part one of a two-part biography. I'm guessing it must be, since from the birth to the death of her husband is only half of her life. She lived another 40 years afterwards. So I'm guessing this is probably the first part of a two-part biography, even though I'm not certain about that. And the author is Cecil Woodham Smith, who wrote a wonderful biography of the Irish potato famine that is out or was out when I bought it, in Penguin, those orange Penguin Classic nonfiction forms. So when I saw her name, and here she is on the back, very, very matronly looking. But yeah, I'm not. Oh yeah, this would be at least my second or third Queen Victoria biography, and I haven't got to a single one, to be honest. But it will be there for me when I want to read it. And last but not least is another volume in my, well, now somewhat complete. I'm sorry, these are on the floor. So as I go down, I'm having to reach further and further towards the floor. I think I showed these in another video at some time. These are Volume 2 and Volume, oh goodness, 3 maybe? Or 4? Anyway, there are 2 of the volumes. I used to be able to tell which one. Yes, this is 2 and 4. So this is Volume 2 of Dumas Malone's huge 5-volume biography of Thomas Jefferson. This is The Rights of Man. This is not one of the volumes I got last weekend. I just wanted to show you these were the ones I already had. And this is 4. This is the first term, 1801 to 1805. But to supplement those, this is Volume 3, Jefferson and the Ordeal of Liberty. So I think all I need now is 1 and 5. And I think it stops at 5, even though if Volume 4 deals with his first term, you would think 5 would deal with his second, and then that still leaves, almost 20 years of his life left. But I'll have to look into that. But yeah, so now I have 3 of these, and that's quite a lot of Thomas Jefferson. But that's what I found last week at the library book sale. It is cooling down here in Texas, thankfully, and that always is a nice sign that library book sales are on their way. So if you found anything nice at a recent sale, let me know if you want me to talk about any of these things. Most of them are pretty thick, so it might be a while before I get around to anything. But I might end up making another video this weekend about what I'm reading, even though it obviously won't be a Friday reads. So if you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know, and I will talk to you later. Bye, everyone.